Hi everyone, my name is Lily and you are listening to Humans of Authenticity, the CEO Special Edition. Our guest today is Alison Heron, the CEO at the Association of Child Life Professionals. Welcome to Humans of Authenticity, Alison.
Oh, thank you, V. Thank you for the invite. Much appreciated.
Would you like to introduce yourself to our listener first?
Absolutely. Alison Heron. I am the CEO of the Association of Child Life Professionals and also now the CEO of the Child Life Certification Commission.
How can you balance being CEO of two organizations as well as personal life on top of that?
It's a balance, but it's with a great team and two great groups and leaders. So having that balance and having the support, being undergirded with a great team has allowed me to do so. And one thing my team and most of my friends and family know, I love to travel. So being the CEO of two organizations has not stopped that ability to travel and move around as I love to do. But it is challenging. It's not easy.
You mentioned great team. What is your definitions of a great team?
The definition of a great team, besides being collaborative, is really having that collective spirit of wanting to do great and wanting to see everyone succeed, even if it's not their particular role to get something done. So for me, sometimes it's a last minute request that I'm putting in. The team is supporting me. Like, I understand your vision, I know where you're going. I'm here to support you. And that there has been extremely valuable in my 3+ years here at ACLP and now CLCC as well.
I want to unpack the first piece that you share. When we have a great team, it means we are collaborative. And then you also use the term collective spirit of do good. I would imagine being a team, we have different individuals with different personality and different values. How do you build that collective spirit? How do you find a common ground to start that conversation?
Well, the common ground is we all want to succeed and do right by the profession and our members and our community as a whole. We all are trying to get to the same place, even though we may have varying aspects of maybe if we go this way, we go that way, but coming together as a CEO and leader of the organization is making sure that we're going the same way, in the same direction. So everyone has their different personalities. So you're treating everyone on an individual basis. Is understanding by having conversations and constant communication. What's motivating this individual? How are they motivated? What do they value? Our perspectives are different on what someone may value. So it's really understanding and getting to know your staff. I'll say with most CEOs coming in, there was a transition in staff. Right. Especially for me, there were transition with our directors, many of our directors leaving, but I saw there was an opportunity for some staff. They were probably not in the right position and gave them the opportunity to then advance up within our organization. We have a core team working well together, communicating. We are basically all virtual. So my team is not all in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. I have team members in Texas, Michigan, Chicago, Atlanta, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Kentucky. Don't want to forget Kentucky. And we're very intentional on our communication. We're very intentional on how we resolve any issues or potential conflicts that we're having. So it's really having that connection individually and then bringing everyone together, knowing that our main priority goal is to succeed and do right by our profession.
I want to dig a little bit deeper here. So when you say as a CEO, you make an effort to understand what motivates your team and what they value, what happens if during that conversation you realize that your value is different from theirs?
Actually, I haven't ran into that though. So that's a good part of what I've experienced and why I feel as though I have been blessed when even coming as a first-time CEO in 2021. The values that everyone has is to just make a difference, right? So that is the core. I haven't had someone say, well, no, I don't believe in this or not believing in that. They believe in the work that the child life profession does. So for us, we have the commonality and common thread of family. We have the common thread of learning, curiosity. We have the common thread of when we know better, we do better. And that is, for my mantra, is like, okay, when we know better, we do better. I say it with the board, we say it with staff, and we implement it though. So it's not we know better, we do better, but we're going to keep doing the same thing because we're comfortable in it.
Mm.
We're not doing that. For the commonality, there is a thread of commonality that we have interwoven throughout not only just staff, within our leaders too.
Now you sort of touch on your mantra as a CEO. Can you elaborate that for us a little bit more?
Mantra, when you know better, you do better. Take risks and don't be afraid to try new things. It's simple. I'm not a risk averse person. I like to be calculated in the risks that I do take. And it's okay within that calculated risk if there is failure, because you can only learn and grow from failure.
Is there a scenario that you can share with us to elaborate your mantra a bit more?
Yeah. So for me, is when you know better, do better. It's within the CEO role, and most CEOs or new individuals coming in, you can be at a manager, director level. When you're coming into a role that you were not originally in the role, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And within that, for me, I provided grace because I was not here when certain decisions were made or things were put into place. So as we moved along in building the infrastructure and a more structured, solid foundation for the organization, there were aspects of it to where some change was hard. I'm coming from an association background, and even with our leaders, it is what they've always done because their background is different as within the profession. So it's for me explaining for them to see the vision as well as why certain decisions are being made. Using that same when you know better, you do better with staff, is for them to understand why the changes is actually being made. Not that if they didn't agree with the change that we wouldn't keep moving forward for the betterment of the organization. We're getting the buy-in, is understanding, because what's one of the worst things you can do as a CEO or even as a leader coming through is just to make a wholesale decision and it's just what you think it is. You're not valuing or getting the invaluable input. There may be a decision that I personally was going to make and say, oh no, this is the standard and this is how we should move and proceed forward. But someone on staff said, well, have you thought about this? But if we do this, this is a consequence because this down here is in place. And I take a listen to that. And if I need to pivot and change course, then I do that. So is making sure that we're not within this role too far removed from others to listen. And that's really a key, is active listening and inclusion too. Inclusion of individuals' thoughts and perspectives, making sure their voice is heard and included within the organization.
What I'm hearing is going back to your mantra, when we know better, we do better. And the part about we know better, it means that we need to sit down, collectively discuss the issues in front of us, and collectively share our perspective, share our ideas, share our solutions, and collectively explore, analyze the situation from all layers of the organization and how it will impact different departments or different elements of the organizations. And then from that, we can synthesize a holistic solution to the problem on hand.
There are some things to where the decision just needs to be made. Legal, ethical implications, decisions are made within this role. But it is extremely important, as you stated, for individuals to understand the path as a CEO, the journey and the path that you're taking them to, and why changes are important, how impactful those changes are. And again, that's part of the mantra, is when they can visualize, it's when you know better, now we do better. Now we're going to implement this change. It may sound simple, but it really is as simple as that in most cases,
Yeah.
in most instances. Can everything be instantaneous? No. But can we work towards that change of what we now know? And it may be an implementation that we're working towards and we're making slight tweaks down the line within 6 months to a year. Eventually, in the future, we know that change is going to occur.
This is so cool. I just want to make a connection to our earlier conversations about great teams. And now
Yeah,
I can see how everything sort of comes together. You create a common ground with the team. You understand what motivates them, what they value the most. And I'm sensing during that conversation, you start building that psychology safety net so that people feel comfortable sharing their ideas with you. Then when we get to
absolutely.
the problem solving part, everyone feel like they can raise their voice.
Absolutely. That is key. It is paramount. So for my staff, right, we will always stress, just call me. If you're not comfortable sharing it in the call with other people, we use Slack. There's so many different ways that we're communicating because we are virtual. We're not in the office,
Mm.
all the time together. We have to be intentional in the communication. Sometimes it's just a check-in to see how someone's doing, what's going on. Maybe it's a quick chat. When we're starting our conversations, usually we're starting at a personal level and not just going right into business. So it becomes more of that once individuals come in, is more of a familiar environment. Last year, around this time, we had 4 new staff join us, and one person joined us right as we did an in-person staff retreat. By the time a day and a half, 2 days was over, you were thought that they were already working with us for years. I really do love the energy and how they just got involved quickly. They didn't wait, they didn't stand back as we were asking their opinions from their knowledge base, from their experience. As more of you continue to try to be inclusive to ensure that voices and perspectives are heard and represented, it's a key for me. I'll say that for me and my leadership, it has been a wonderful, great key.
So looking at your entire journey,
Uh-huh.
what do you think is the one thing that you like the most about yourself in that journey?
Resiliency for me, because as a woman of color, as a Black woman specifically, I started this journey, now it's 30 years in associations. My first job, I was an admin assistant in a 2.5 person office. That was my jump off starting point in a small association where I had the opportunity to travel for the first time. I had the opportunity to go to do exhibits. I had an opportunity to understand what a membership program, a corporate, and I was in the database system. So I just continued to evolve and learn. To at one point in my career, I was what, the first probably person of color, second or third person of color in a 100-person organization that became a manager. That was pivotal because I didn't realize how big of a deal it was for those, because we were really relegated to admin roles. And when I did receive the promotion to be a manager, it was really, you did it. Wow. Okay. And that was the kind of defining and pivotal moment to realize that, yeah, and you recognize it. You don't say much because you feel as though, what is your voice at an admin level? How is that going to even reach to the top of the CEO or executive director in a 100+ person organization? But within that organization was someone who saw potential in me when I didn't even see it in myself. Right. So someone pushed me further and had me do more speaking opportunities and working with other groups and not just be okay in my situation. Is taking someone to kind of recognize your potential when you don't fully see it yet. And that person for me was the boost to go back to finish my education, knowing that I wanted more and making association management my career, right? Not just a job. So after, a few roles, it's like, oh no, I have a job. But probably 5 or 6 years in, it was my career.
This
Okay.
inspirational.
Yeah, yeah, different. Well, thank you. But additionally, is it's not always easy though. It takes time. You can sit in a role quite a few years if you don't have someone that sees your value, or you yourself are not comfortable yet speaking up and sharing your ideas, making sure your voice and your perspectives are heard. Sometimes we don't know when we're at a managerial level why certain decisions are being made. So in my journey, I was actually going back to school because I love computers, computer information systems. I love the database. So I actually was going back to get my bachelor's in computer information systems. But at the managerial level, assistant level, there was also chatter on why are they doing this? And they should do this and they should do that. And I just want to understand from the leadership level, how are decisions really truly being made? So I decided to pursue my bachelor's in business administration. Within that aspect, you also need to know when you're outgrowing a situation and not to get content. For me, it's not. Because if I feel as though I have more to give, more to offer, I've outgrown the space and the learning where I am looking for other opportunities. And sometimes they can come fast. Other times it may take many years for that right opportunity. And with me, I stand on my faith. So I'm trying to be faithful that I know something, the right thing, where I'm supposed to be is going to get me to that next level. So going to be a manager and then having the opportunity and the risk to apply to be a director, having a role as a senior director and having a few roles as a senior director. Then I became a CEO within my 27 years in association management. So I did go from the bottom as an admin, but I learned so much going through that trajectory. I can see the different points of where I was learning, where I was gathering information. And resiliency, as I stated before, was because doors are closed. You're not getting an opportunity. I know when I walked into certain interviews and there was not one person of color, I knew I didn't get the job. Even though it seemed to be a great interview, I knew immediately, just scanning the staff, I was not going to get the job. But that didn't stop me from pursuing other jobs. So it's a purpose, and I believe in having that purpose is I am going to be where I need to be for that moment in time.
I'll jump in and share a bit of my experience here as well as a person of color in association sector. And you just remind me that there are so many times that I'm the only Asian person on any team. And in one role that I worked for in the past, I was the only Asian person in the executive leadership team working with other C-level people. In reflections, I appreciate so much the trust that the CEO put in me. I feel that they see the potential in me to allow me the opportunity to contribute to the organizations. And I'm hearing a lot of similar sentiments from your story as well. So now in your CEO positions, what elements do you build in during the recruitment process to make sure that you recruit the right candidate, regardless of any sort of background elements here?
Yeah, so you're looking at the human elements. I'm listening to what they are saying and how things are being said. How are they describing their past organization? How are they describing their past co-workers, right? How are they describing their journey there or their supervisors in that role? Understanding why they want to leave. And I know sometimes before it was like, oh, we want the organizational fit. But what is the organizational fit? Just because I like someone, it may be an organizational fit. You just never know. Yes, it's skill set, but it's also truly active listening. And I'm not going through this hiring process by myself. Right. So I have a COO, I have department or leaders, they interview them. We get separate feedback. I have the staff, if they're reporting, they're going to report up to that person, staff interviews, and then we take all of that in collectively to make that decision. So it's not just I'm making the decision. Even when I hired my COO, I also had my COO talk to board leaders to get feedback for that. So it's just not me sitting up here singularly operating just from one lens. There are different perspectives and lens. So I am seeking, again, what does someone else, are they seeing the same thing? Am I seeing, or are they picking up on another aspect of during the interview time? Because someone interviewing with the CEO and COO, they may say all the right things, but once they start interviewing with their peers, it's another conversation. Sometimes it can be a little looser, right? So they're more comfortable. And then if they're talking to some staff, they want the staff to like them. So it can be a little bit more agreeable than really for the staff. But it's good to understand the different perspectives in hiring. So yes, a skill is absolutely skill and making sure they're qualified. But the other aspect is, am I reading this person correctly? Yes or no? And sometimes I've been spot on. And other times I've been absolutely wrong. I fought for someone. I'm like, I think this is a great hire. This is a person in role. And it just simply didn't work out. And guess what? It's okay. It is absolutely okay if something doesn't work out.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Let's move to the second part of the conversations about your keyword. So what keyword are we unpacking today?
We are unpacking humility.
And can you give me your definition of humility?
Don't have a real definition, but is really leading with empathy, compassion, and relationship building, extending grace. So, not just a definition as you're looking at Webster's, but for me, it's just really important the empathy, compassion, extending grace. And the reason being, because we are all going through something. All of us are going through something that individuals may not even know about, whether it is professionally, personally, mentally. We are all going through something, and we really need to just extend, right? Extend that empathy and grace and show humility. Show that you are a leader or a person who can be that empathetic leader, compassionate leader, because that's only going to help build relationships. It's going to help build trust, right? And as a leader, that's what I strive for, but that's who I am just in general. At times I can be too empathetic. At times I'm not, right? At times it's very business to this, but I also see the other side. So that for my journey to really be that servant leader, to be a transformational leader, and that's very important for me.
Hmm. Was there a particular situation where you can share with us what was going through so we can really see how lead with humility look like in your book?
I had someone who was, the porn was not what it used to be. And you could see the arc to where the performance was great. Things were looking great. I mean, hey, no worries in the world. They're doing everything. And then I could just see the transformation over months to where it just started sliding down. Like they were starting to have a little bit more issues and everything else like that. And it wasn't anything necessarily dealing with the job, it was something personal. And for me, I made the accommodations. It was our personal conversations and my personal knowledge. So for me, it was to undergird that person with the support that they needed without everyone or anyone knowing about it. And it was for me a difficult situation because I hated to see someone kind of just going through what they're going through, and it's not something I can fix or solve or help with. I
Hmm.
can help as far as I can help as, the organization leader, but it wasn't something that I can easily solve, for them. So for me, it's just really, again, is about the empathy and extending grace, knowing someone is having difficulties that's affecting their performance in their role. And then that just brought me to another level of our having a deeper connection and deeper conversations and how we can move forward, right? To make sure we're still keeping the trains on the tracks, right? To make sure that they still felt seen and heard and not being judged because of some other extenuating circumstances in their personal life. So it is very important for me. And it's not just in the job, it's just in the world, right? So it's just really focusing on the compassion, how you can impact. Sometimes saying one wrong word in the heat of the moment, or you never know how that could impact someone's day, someone's performance, their life. Personally, for me, that I have people's livelihoods in my hands as a leader of this organization. So everything is not going to be 100% and great skies and everything's great and we're running around. No, people are having different trials and tribulations that even as a leader, I can't share with anyone else. So
Hmm.
I have to take that on as well, right? That's part of what I'm taking on. So for me, it's also understanding the self-care, right? So I look at humility knowing that is the problems in different situations are bigger than you and your own feelings. There are other people who are really dealing with real issues that is beyond just being a great worker.
So what I'm hearing is when a team member undergoing some situations that impact their performance at work, as leader, first of all, we need to find way to really understand what's going on that impact their performance because it's not just all about work.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. And once you understand the situation, you then find ways within your capacity to support
Correct.
individual at the same time find way to make sure that the work is done as well.
As well.
And I'm also hearing that the story of these individuals start impacting your well-beings. And is that where
No.
the self-care coming in?
Yeah, so it impacted because I just felt I wish I could help beyond just making certain accommodations. I wish I could help just
Okay.
solve an issue, right? When we're here doing the work, we're here to solve issues. What is the issue? How can I fix the problem? How can we, help someone? And when it's beyond your control, that's when I know it's nothing more I can do but give support as far as I can give support.
But
But there are times when you're in this role, and I really feel for individuals who are in human resources where you have to take on so much confidential information. You're taking on things that no one really knows about or you cannot speak about. So it's making sure that you're protecting yourselves and having and taking care of yourself, right? Because you take on so much of someone else's, then where do you go for yours?
I got
Where how are you then treating yourself and being kind to yourself, showing yourself empathy? How do you show yourself compassion? And that is, again, for me, an extension for humility, right? Is understanding you have those feelings, understanding that you know how to then project those onto others because it's not just about self.
So what's your solutions for that problem? Like,
Self care.
how do
Well, for me, my self care is only a few things. I love solitude. So for decompression, I kind of stay weekend time and maybe one day that I don't know the outside world exists. I'm okay in the house. I love my home. I'm paying for my home. So I love that. The other one is travel. I love to travel. So when I don't have trips planned, I feel sad. Going to the movies, which I, of course, have stopped doing. I really wasn't a movie buff, of course, COVID. And then, and shout out to Cam Sanders, Camille was like, hey, let's go check out this movie. Went and saw the movie, was like, and now I'm just at the movie. It's just a little bit of peace, even if it's for a couple of hours. And for me, physically, strength training.
mm,
So I used to do boot camp like 5 something days a week, twice a day at times, but I love to strength train. So in lifting weights, that's part of my piece as well. So it's a little bit of exercising, solitude, and traveling because tomorrow's not promised.
nice. Thank you for sharing your tip. Let's go back to your keyword humility one more time. I'm curious, was there a time when your commitment to lead with humility being challenged?
It's being challenged because they're not understanding the backstory of why I'm leading the way I'm leading for this person or that person. So it may show that, oh, well, you're giving favoritism to this person, or you're not doing things evenly across the board. But again, in this position, you cannot share everything. You're not able to tell the whole story of this is why this is going on because that's not my story to tell. What someone is going through is not my story to tell, to share. So it's more of it's okay. She's doing this. This is fine. And it's moving forward. When you have to make accommodations for individuals as well, you're making accommodations for the health and well being of that individual who is now your employee. But again, that doesn't have to be shared. But from the outside's perspective is looking as though it's an unequal playing field. Like I'm treating this person differently than that person. Why do they get to do this and I can't do that? So that's a little bit of what that struggle is at times when it comes to that, especially within this workplace.
Gotcha. So how do you solve that unease feeling with others then?
The solving is communication of what I can communicate. Now, she's doing this because we've had a conversation. So it's okay. Trains are still on the track. We're moving forward. Let's say it's an accommodation. If you have any accommodation you need, please let me know. and I'll help you as well. So for me, and I'm not even saying that that person has an accommodation, right? So I want to be clear on that part. But I do ask them if they're trying to compare themselves to someone else or what that person is getting or not getting, then what I'm delving into is, well, what do you need also?
Mm.
What we can't do is do the comparison game, right? The thief of joy is comparison. Well, she got to stay later, or she had a later lunch, and my lunch was this. Well, do you need a later lunch? Because if you need a later lunch, then let's have that conversation and let me know so then I can accommodate that. So we are individuals and we have to treat individual needs on an individual basis. The same as having the conversation, I would never have that full, and I will just say that. If anyone has any needs, you have any concerns, you want to talk to me, talk to the COO, please reach out. Let's set up a meeting. I'm not going to go into specific details or back and forth, but I do want to stem if I feel as though it's an organization issue, or I learned that there's more chatter going on because there's a perceived imbalance
Mm.
amongst employees, then I will have this general conversation with them. Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing that. How
Mhm.
does humility align with the value of your organizations and culture?
Child life professionals embody empathy.
Mm.
Child life professionals embody grace, compassion to the children and families they serve. Like, this is their strength. And I have said this before when I've done visits to different children's hospitals and different units. Personally, I couldn't do it. I probably would be crying all the time. Like, for that to deal with children, you understand, is beyond just some difficulties in needle, right? You're having children with cancer, you're having children in hospice. So that strength for what our child life professionals have, they just embody humility. They really embodied it as they're serving our children's and families. So when I think about the compassion, the grace, the empathy that they share with the children and their families, that's their greatest strength.
You know, I work in medical societies for 10 years of my career, and there is this concept of person-centered care. Throughout the conversation we have so far about how you work with your staff,
Mhm.
it sounds like a person-centered leadership because whatever you provide to your team, it's all about putting the person in the middle of that center and make sure that they have all the tools they need to be successful.
Absolutely. I'm not sure how to lead any other way or how to be any other way, even if it's with friends and family, because it's about that person,
Mm.
right? So, as far as the four agreements, and I'm not going to mess it up, but as far as one of the agreements is, don't take things personally. When I read the book, the four agreements, and when it was like, don't take things personally, it's not personal. And I read that actually before I started working as a CEO for ACLP, because there were some trials and tribulations going on. I don't have to say something all the time. That's not me. I want to be thoughtful in what I am expressing and saying. But I just embody it. Now. It's like I can't take things personal. Someone doesn't like what I've said, what I've done, who I am. I cannot take those things personal because it's not technically, truly is not about me. They have something within themselves that they see in me that it either disturbs their peace, it disturbs their confidence, but it doesn't disturb mine.
Mm. Yeah, it's never been about us.
I reread it once a year. Sometimes you just need the reminder, right? Especially if you're going to recenter yourself. Yes, the four agreements was actually pivotal for me in how I move through this role, but how I just move through life too,
Mm.
right? I've been dealing with it since 2012. I made a concerted effort to have my peace. What does not bring me peace is not in my focus.
No.
So if my world, my friends, if everything shrinks down, it's okay, right? Because being happy doesn't mean you have multitudes of 100 friends and associates. Who's your core? Right. So I'm looking for the roots. So if we're a tree, I'm looking for those roots, those grounded in the ground roots that even hurricanes, tornadoes coming through, that tree is still standing. Some branches may fall off, but the tree is still standing. And that's what my focus is, my core.
Thank you so much for dig deep with me on this one.
Yes.
I learned so much here. Let's move to the legacy part.
Legacy part.
Yes.
Rolling on the hills of my mantra, honestly, My legacy is just I want to leave the organization better than where I found it. I want to know that when I leave the organization, that I did the best that I could do, making sure we're putting policies and processes in place that's going to last beyond my tenure as a CEO. We're going to have this foundation, a strong foundation, not in quicksand, not in sand on the beach, but a foundation that is then supported, right? We're going to have steel beams, the strongest support you ever can have. And then I can move on and I can look back at the organization knowing from this time period to that time period of my tenure here, I can see the transition and the transformation,
Mm.
right, for betterment. So that is what I want my legacy. It's not, I did this program, I did this, and it is not that. It's how I know where I came in at, where the organization was. And then from whenever my time is for leaving, that the organization and the profession then ultimately is the profession is stronger, is better, more visible, impactful. And that's what's important for me.
Are you comfortable painting a picture for us so we can see the before and the today stage of your organization?
Yes. So, two parts for the organization. I'll say this. And again, this is me also extending grace. So, for leaders who were, or the previous leadership who was here before me, they did the best that they could do with the knowledge that they've had. So I don't want to necessarily say, oh, when I came here, they didn't have this, this, and this. We are, again, building a stronger foundation. We are aligning with a lot of definite great business, association principles, practices, looking at guidance and making sure that we're modern in technology, right? The world, everything is changing over. What was done pre-COVID to post-COVID has really shifted certain of our focus being a healthcare profession. Our members are underpaid, understaffed, burned out. And again, as a national organization, we can hopefully help to provide resources. And we have to understand three things as an organization. What can we influence? What can we impact? And what can we implement? One thing that has been an excellent accomplishment over the 3 years is as recent as last week, our certification program earned the accreditation status with the National Certifying Commission of Accreditation by the accrediting body, NCCA. And for that, that is an added excellent value for our profession, right? Previously, the ones that we're on now. And the goal was to make sure we apply for the accreditation. Not only did we apply for the accreditation, we received our 5-year
Wow.
accreditation status last week. So it is a monumental victory, accomplishment, hard work that went into having the certification program accredited. So that's a major accomplishment that I can point to say it was tried many years. It was thought of, it was on other strategic plans, but with my first year strategic plan for 22 to 24, we achieved that.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm just very thankful for my COO, Angela Flanagan. I'm very proud for our staff and our volunteers that helped us in doing this.
Congratulations. How do you celebrate such a big achievement?
We just found out, so we made the big announcement at our recent commission update, which is like our town hall for our certificates. We had a record number of certificates sign up as well as attend the live thing. We have press releases, so it's all on our social media. Our team, we have a staff retreat coming up in early November, and we're going to celebrate there. We're going to celebrate that time.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
This is so cool. So imagine if the Association of Child Life Professional were a fictional character, who would it be and why?
Okay. I had to think about that. Like, which is 2, 3 different ones, and I'm trying to meld them together. So I would say Mr. Rogers from Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Mr. Rogers exemplified empathy, understanding, the importance of supporting children, the emotional support for children. Mr. Rogers created a safe space for children to express their feelings. And again, this is the work of the child life professions as they support their children and families. And for me, although the child life profession is probably 96% women, he exemplified, especially for the empathy and support and providing, making children feel safe to express their feelings, is Mr. Rogers.
Thank you so much. I've just looked up Mr. Rogers and it looks like he's a very cultural icon, loved
Absolute
and
generation culture icon. And I believe there was a movie recently done, I want to say a few years ago. I cannot remember the Welcome to the Neighborhood or Would You Be My Neighbor, something like that. There's a movie that really showed him being him. That's who he was. So he had that show that was on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood on PBS for I don't know how many years, maybe 30, 35 years. That's who Fred Rogers was. And so that's who child life professionals are.
Thank you so much. And this is the end of the episode. Thank you again for your time and sharing your story with us.
My name is Alison Heron, and you are listening to Humans of Authenticity, the CEO Special Edition.